to me. Any of you guys have been here for less than 6 months, or everyone is more than that?
Uh, Arbaaz, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Arbaaz. I am currently a master student in Australia, but in 2022 I finished my 6 months internship in Deep Thought, and I have been invited here actually by Tarun, and it is a topic that I learned from DT itself. It is a principle that I learned from DT itself, and it it's a topic that I had in the back of my mind for a long time. I had it subconsciously, but I gradually over the years, or over 2 years, I have used it in every facet of my life. Every opportunity that I've taken up, it's been very useful to me, even though I did not know how to leverage it at the very start. So firstly, I just want to thank you all for giving me this opportunity to speak to you. And so the topic for today that I have is the importance of learning through frameworks, or the importance of building your own frameworks when you're learning something new. And and I'll also share how I build my learning framework, how I build frameworks around my learnings. But firstly, the most important part of when you're learning something is why are you learning it, right? So the why to building your own learning frameworks for me comes down to three things. One is robustness, another is efficiency, and the third one is scalability. So, uh, do you guys all know the OSI network framework? Yeah, thumbs up, thumbs down, anything. Thumbs up? Okay. Yeah, but anyway, I'll just, one sec, sorry, wrong picture. Mm, Right. Anyway, for anyone who does not know the network framework, this is the OSI model. It was made, it was made in 1984 officially, but it's uh, it's just a 7 layers of network model. This exists throughout any network. You and I are in different countries, and it's a lot. And the basics of this model is in the physical layer. The physical layer is depending on the medium which you're connected through. So if you're on Wi-Fi, it'll have different protocols, and if you're on your RJ45 or your cable, then it'll be different. An application layer depends on the software that you're using. So Zoom has a different one. Your Gmail will have a different one, and any other application will have a different one. So, so that's just all you need to know for this topic. Uh, so this framework, as I said, and it is, as I said, it's different for you and it's different for me. Like what's in physical layer for you is different. What's in physical layer for me is different. And it can be different for you and Shravan, or it can be different for different people depending on what softwares you're using or what you're working on. But this framework is, no matter, like, it's been 4 decades and this framework is still relevant. It so and there are new protocols that come out each year. There are new uh, softwares that come out each year, and even Wi-Fi, it went from 2.4 gigahertz to 5 gigahertz. But this framework still exists, and no matter how many framework protocols you add to it, you just, the base framework has stayed the same. It's still 7 layers. It was 7 layers back in 1984, and it's 7 layers today. So a good framework, once you build a good framework around your learnings, and you'll have to build different frameworks for different learnings. So if you're learning a programming language, it'll be different. And if you're learning something else, you'll be building another framework for yourself. But if you have a good framework, it'll be scalable. No matter how many new things you get, if you get the basic framework correct, you can add to it, and you can keep stacking up on it, and it will make compartmentalizing your learnings much easier.
Okay, Arbaaz.
Yes. Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah, you can stop
Sorry.
sharing your screen. I got it, OSI model.
Okay. Okay.
Lots of students are also here, and everyone is
Okay.
new, so it would be better if we can start.
Okay.
Means it's good. Means you explain about OSI framework, and I hope all of us really enjoyed it in
Yeah.
understanding. So let's start with sharing your experience that you had when you were learning frameworks, because I think lots of new people joined again. So when in DT you were learning frameworks, and when you are there were lots of frameworks that we taught. Even though Feynman technique and Socratic dialogue is again a different kind of framework, we are having a Socratic questionnaire and all. So that fundamental basic frameworks, how those frameworks helped you in adapting frameworks like OSI model and different frameworks, because you went through lots of processes.
Ah, okay. So the thing is, actually, when I told Tarun about learning the frameworks, I meant I don't know if so when we were learning different things, like we were learning even programming languages, Tarun was telling us that you don't learn you don't learn data as data, you don't learn one fact. You learn it as a group. You make a model which you can keep changing as it comes. So that's what I thought I'll be talking about. And okay.
Okay, cool. So small chunks. You said ki you'll break into the models and you'll go ahead.
Yeah,
So okay. So now, how means here you are in this conversation to talk about frameworks, importance of frameworks, but now you are in Australia. So
yeah,
just tell, first let's start with your journey, means from DT to your, you are doing post-graduation
yeah,
now. So from DT to the post-graduation, I think when you were studying, you were in graduation.
yeah. Okay, yeah,
So how was the journey? Means just explain like when you went there, just what there would be totally change into the systems,
yeah.
because in India we were having a different kind of systems, different kind of thought process and all, but there
Mm,
it would be very different.
okay. Hey, so you want me to talk about the difference from India to here?
Of
I
course.
think what she's trying to say is basically like you can share your journey, right? Like from DT till the like whatever you're doing right now, right? How did you
Yeah.
realize the importance of framework? I think that journey we are trying to
Okay.
find out.
Yeah. Okay. Understood.
Yeah.
Uh, okay. Then I guess I'll have to start from before DT. But
Sure.
before I came to DT, uh, as most of us would be used to learning, when we go to school, we learn, you get this war happened at this time. That's just it. That's one line to you. And everything else is a stack of facts, right? You learn one thing. But when I came to DT, a lot of things changed. I I wasn't learning. Firstly, anything I did in DT, I had to apply directly. And second, I was surrounded completely by people who are in the same, like who are eager to learn, like constantly eager to learn. As I have Shavan, for example. Shavan was my tech lead, and he, if you'll see him now, he's smiling. And even back then, he used to always be smiling, no matter how much stress he's under, no matter how much work he's under, he's always smiling. And but uh, anytime I went to him, he's always working. He is like a lot of us would take breaks. He's not taking breaks. He's working through lunch. He's working after 9 p.m. He's always working, right? And you have Shagun, who uh, she joined after me. She was very quiet, but anytime we learned anything new, she would implement it. Like Tarun would say, post on your LinkedIn. The first person to post would be Shagun, even though I joined before and I wouldn't do it. So it's it was like the whole environment itself was very different. Everyone was ready to learn, everyone was ready to implement, and the practices you have your, I think you have town hall every Wednesday, if I'm not wrong. I don't remember exactly, but you have different, you have town hall, you have your Socratic dialogues. There is a different environment, and that it took me a long time. I was trying to fit in, but it took me a long time to even get out of the shell that, okay, I need to learn something other than just coding. And that itself was a big thing. But slowly, as I went through the internship, I learned a little more about, just learning different things which directly did not relate to coding. And so that in itself changed a lot of my worldview. Uh, but and one of the biggest reasons that I took up my master's was just because since I guess 10th grade, I knew I wanted to get into cybersecurity. It was just something I wasn't willing to stop. So that was my biggest reason to get into cybersecurity. But now that I'm here, uh, after going through what the internship and my other just life experiences, I have an uncle who works in Dubai, and he tells me all the time that it's not what you know, it's about how you can sell what you know. You can make the best product in the world, and if no one wants it, it's useless. It's a useless product. And even once Mr. Hariharan sir had said that your you think your coding starts, I mean, your coding ends when your product is ready. Your work actually starts when your consumer has your product. When you get feedback on your product, that's when you start, right? And so there was so much, like, just the environment and constant learning that you have in DT changed me so much that now I don't personally I don't see that, okay, I just need to learn about cybersecurity. My learning in postgrad has been, I have two mentors at the moment. One is completely on my cybersecurity side. He teaches me how to get my graduate roles and which courses and which certificates to get to land my jobs. And one of my mentors is totally towards my networking side. And just this month, I have read three books, and none of them have been about cybersecurity. All of them were about networking and socializing. And so that's how my horizons completely opened up when after DT. And yeah, I guess that's been my journey uh, of DT, of how it changed me.
Thank you,
No?
Arbaaz. It was really nice. I hope you guys got multiple threads and multiple questions to ask now. If yes, you can ask because I have lots of things to discuss here. Anyone wants to take initiative?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Arbaaz, as you mentioned that you got to learn so many things, was totally different horizon for you to explore, right?
Yeah.
I want to ask, what all process you took to come up from your bottlenecks? So there have been a bottlenecks.
Yeah. I think the two most important things were, I think, the basis of DT. One was reflection. You need to keep reflecting on not just your work, but the work you are doing with others. I remember, I don't know if Saksham is still here, but Saksham was my first partner at DT. I was made to work with Saksham, and Saksham was a very headstrong person. He would not hold back whatever he wanted to say. So I made a UI with him for one of the mobile app pages, and the first thing he did was he deleted that one and made a new UI. That hurt my ego, and that made me really sad at that point. But when I came back the next day, Saksham had made a new UI, and it was just much better than what I had done. And I just had to accept that, and I had to reflect that, okay, I there was no reason for my ego to be hurt. He wasn't talking about me; he was talking about my work. So I think, and he made something better, and I had to accept it, and I had to from there I had to see what improvements he made, what was the things that he did that made it better. And I think reflection was the first thing that's really important in what you do and what people do around you, and what makes them work so well, what makes them work so hard. Uh, that that is one of the biggest things. And second is practice. You have to, if you guys have heard of the book Compound Effect, it's a great book. You guys should read it if you haven't. This book talks about how what you make of your future is not made up of your one big decision. It's made of small decisions that you make every single day. So every single day, what you practice will make up your future, right? So like, one is learning. If you're constantly learning, you can't learn anything at once. You learn every single day. So you have to constantly learn, and you also have to constantly practice. So if you want to get good at communication, you have to keep communicating. And yeah, those were the two big things that helped me get through roadblocks, that helped me see where I was lacking. Because with practice, you get to know where you're lacking, and with reflection also. You first need to get to know where you're lacking to be able to get past what you're lacking. Everything has its own different solution. So yeah, I think that's my answer.
Thank you. It's a really great approach. I got some
Thank you.
insights.
Thank you, Arbaaz, for sharing the importance of reflection and importance of practice at the same time. And
Yes.
the story was really nice to hear, that your reflection helped you to understand, okay, my friend was doing something that was really good. It was not about
Yeah.
me. It was about what was my action. Yeah, Mitali.
Yeah. So, hi Arbaaz, as you mentioned about framework, so I would want to know about a few instances from your life where frameworks played a major role. So, if you would like to give a few examples of that.
Again, then I'll have to ask you, do you mean the frameworks, like the predefined frameworks, or frameworks that I make for myself?
Frameworks that you made for yourself.
Okay, frameworks that I made for myself. Uh, so, as I said, I've been like studying on networking and communication for a long time now. I made like my 2-year plan is in my 2-year plan, my self-development goals are just networking. And so when you learn so much about networking, I had to make frameworks. Okay, this part is about initiation of how you approach someone. So your body language, right? That's one part of your framework. And every book will talk about something different about body language. And so I made like a model of, okay, this part will come at the start, and this this is what I can do. So that's how, frameworks that I made for myself were useful, because now every time I read a new book, you have to go in as a student. You have to unlearn to be able to learn. But you keep adding to your whole framework, that you have these stack of things that okay, this works. Now you just add to that, and you go your model you know instead of just adding facts in a jumbled fashion. So that's how making my own frameworks helped me. But if I have to talk about frameworks that already exist, then I mean, there are so many frameworks. Like yeah, I worked in UI even after, like, I did some freelance work in UI after DT2. I learned UI here, but I was doing UI after DT for a bit. So there also, again, there's what's it called? I think it's called user-centered design. Yeah, user-centered design framework. That was one which is very important. And there's a smart framework for how you make up your goals. They need to be, I don't remember exactly what each point is, but it basically it just says that your goals need to be a collection of steps that you can take to completion. And they should be quantifiable, so you know how when your goal is, when you have reached your goal. Yeah, those are some frameworks that I use in my mostly like day to day, and that's how making frameworks help. My own frameworks help me. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Arbaaz.
Now, frameworks are the part of your tea, coffee, dinner, lunch, everything, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
So you are eating frameworks every time. So it's good that frameworks, you are implementing frameworks, and I'm very curious to know that how you are now coming up with multiple frameworks. Like initially what happened, first thing that is very important is appreciation of framework. I hope you agree with me, because if you want to think in that way where you want to come up with different frameworks, different architecture, first appreciate the current existing architecture and then go with the new frameworks, and then you will be able to create multiple frameworks and think around that. So
Yeah.
what was your approach in terms of, because now you said, do you want to know about my frameworks that I'm creating, or do you want to know the frameworks which is already exist?
Yeah.
So what is your approach in terms of creating and coming up with new frameworks?
I'll start with why I even wanted to get into frameworks, I guess.
Okay.
That was also for two reasons. One, I was humbled by Tarun. Second, I was humbled by what's his name, the kid who just could not stop questioning.
Aryan?
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 Yes,
Yeah.
Aryan. Aryan. Those two. So I was like, once we had, I think Devanshu was giving us the JavaScript course, right?
Haha.
And Tarun came in, and Tarun was learning it with us, and he asked us a few questions, but we were having a difficult time coming up with answers. And then Tarun was giving us the answers, but with the answers he gave us how he could keep track of those answers. And it wasn't because he wrote down, like he did write down everything, but more than that, he mapped them in a certain way. He made when we make links in our learnings, one of the reasons that storytelling is a great way of learning is because your brain will physically make neural links when you make a story out of your learnings. And Tarun was forcing his brain to make links in that. And another reason was Aryan would ask so many questions that it forced you to be rigorous. It forced you to be robust with what you know. And that, again, through questioning, you build that rigor, right? And so yeah, those were my two reasons why those are my biggest reasons why I got just scared of frameworks. I knew the power of frameworks, but from there, yeah, it was a bit of experimentation of how I can build my own frameworks. But what works for me is one is I write down, I take notes, but when I take notes, I try to already write in a condensed form. So 2 or 3 points, I'll try to write them as one point, which summarizes three. And I try to use the best English that I can to write them down so that it conveys every point. And when you can do that, I think it just forces you to make a few connections between those. And then I try to share those with someone else, like either my mentor or someone who is learning the same thing with me. That also, yeah, it makes you rethink of everything that you're sharing with them, and that just helps you build a framework. Did I answer your question correctly?
Yes, Arbaaz.
Okay. Okay.
You gave me multiple insights as well. It was really nice.
I'm
It's
glad.
all about how you can make lateral connection with the story. And one of the best thing that you spoke is about how you can choose the words wisely so that when you read the like your notes, that would really help. Anyone have any question? Okay. It seems like everyone is thinking what to ask right now.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
My name is Vikram. Hello, Arbaaz.
Hello. Nice to meet you, Mukra.
I'm a new intern in DT.
Hi.
So recently I
Well,
joined just a week ago. So I want to ask you about the path. You know, you are doing masters in abroad, right? Australia. Like, why did you go to Australia and doing your masters? And what is the path after completing DT internship? Like, why did you choose masters? And what we should not do? And how can we get to know good about DT? And what should we learn here? That's
okay.
what I want to
So I okay. First, I'll go with my masters, I guess.
Okay.
The reason I chose to go for master, I really don't think that masters uh, is the path for everyone to go for. But the reason I went for masters was because I wanted to do cybersecurity since like 10th grade. It was my biggest dream, and um, cybersecurity in India, at least back 2 years back, it did not. When I checked the salaries and stuff, it did not pay very well. Uh, Software development pays much more, so that was really a big bummer. So just yeah, that was my biggest motivation to move out. It's not for everyone. If that's up to you, that you'll have to weigh your options on that. Uh, the process of it is pretty simple. You go, I mean, every uni has its own process. You'll have to, again, that you'll have to look into. But how to utilize DT, how to utilize your time at DT the most? I'll say, again, just the biggest point will be reflection. Reflect on your things and reflect on your work and reflect on the work of people. Like, I'll say take mentality more than the work itself. Of course, you'll learn from your work, and any time you get to learn from your work, you probably will keep it in. Like if you're learning something new on coding, you'll probably anyways write it down because that's just our mentality generally. But we are not used to learning mentality from people, used to in school we are not used to observing how people think and such. So I'd say take note of that a lot. That like if someone is enthusiastic, why are they so enthusiastic? What is getting them powered up? Ask them questions because that is one of the best things I found in DT, and that will be something you will find very useful even outside of DT. When ask people questions, they'll welcome it in DT, outside of DT. Most people, in DT, you're told to your face that please ask me questions. But outside of DT, you're not told that. But most people will be very happy to answer your questions. Most people are very happy to be of help to you. They just don't get the opportunity. So it's actually a very big privilege for everyone to be answering questions. So I think you learn that very well at DT. Uh, that's one thing. Just ask a lot of questions.
thank you,
And
Arbaaz.
yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Arbaaz. You just picked the heart of DT. Asking a question, ask question, explore more, discover more. Just have a Socratic dialogue if you want to understand more about DT. And
Yes,
that's what I think you guys are going to do with the students as well. Just have a dialogue with the questions. That
yeah.
would help students also to grow.
Wait, you by students you mean Aryan alone?
Uh, Aryan, so you don't know what. So currently, deep thought is in college, St. Mary's College, where
Okay.
all the moderators are physically present and they are teaching up more than 3,000 students in the campus with DT
Oh,
frameworks.
okay. Yeah,
Not teaching, moderating, discovering, learning.
nice. Yeah, I mean, if you get the chance to do that, do that. It'll give you a whole different worldview. Yeah, I'll also say that. Take any opportunity you get, you learn from it.
I have a question.
Yeah. Thank you.
Arbaaz, if we want to come up with our own framework, how to approach this thing, from where to take reference. Things are around us. We are developing projects. We are teaching students. We are taking learnings from them and implementing those things in our project as well. So how to approach things so that we can come up with our own frameworks and
I shared how I do it, which is I take notes, I try to condense them, I try to so if you're learning from real life, then reflect on it and turn your reflections into notes. And if you can share them, share them. If you have no one to share them with, just redo them, recreate them, like go through your notes again and try to, if you can make flowcharts out of them, that is really helpful. Flowcharts, stories, or if you can teach them to someone else. Those are already scientifically proven ways to reinforce your learnings. And I think you can just utilize them and they will help you make more neural connections. But if you want to actively do something, then you can try to find ways in which one learning relates to things which you did not learn it from. So if you're learning something about business, try to relate it to some other part of your life, and that will force you to make some connection. And if that connection is strong enough, you can try to make a whole framework around it. So try to make more connections. I mean, a framework is a set of, you know, like set of blocks in which you can fill in. Okay, this thing fits in this part, right? So that's a framework. So you can just figure out, okay, if it fits enough times, then you can make a whole framework out of it. Does that answer your question? All right, thank you. Yeah,
So,
Vijay.
in a short
Oh,
word,
sorry.
uh,
Sorry.
in one line, Sanskriti, just maintain your own inside books. That would help you to come up with different frameworks. To give you context, Arbaz, as I said, there are lots of students we are teaching them. They are every day they are maintaining one inside books where they are coming up with different stories, different diagrams, different flow diagram, drawing, pictures, and all based on the concepts that they are learning. So if you want to come up with your framework, maintain your own inside book. One day you can just flip your inside book and you'll be coming up with lots of connection altogether.
I mean,
Yeah,
as I
yeah,
told you, I just learned these things from DT. So you have the whole thing. Just just keep reflecting, and you'll find where reflecting. Keep doing this, doing your own practices. You're coming up with great products. Don't if you have your own store and you have some great, let's say I have a dental store. If I have some great product, I'll use it myself, right? So at DT, you're coming up with great products. If you can leverage them to your own learning, make sure to do so.
good.
yeah, Vish,
Now I
Sanskrit.
guess I can relate with those blocks and DT.
DT what? Sorry.
Arbaz, you remember my first project, DT Thon?
Oh yeah, the scary one.
The scary one. Now that time it was very scary, huh? We
Yeah.
launched it uh,
Yeah.
after a year in the college itself. Now we are
Yeah.
launching version 2, maybe today or tomorrow.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yes, Vijay.
Arbaaz,
Hello.
hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I am also good. Arbaaz, please tell me, you came to TP. So, how was your 15 days? How was your first 15 days? And it will take time to understand things. Please tell me.
Okay. The first 15 minutes. So
Yeah.
when I first came to DT, I don't know how the process is right now, but I had a first 7-day run where there was only the selection process people who are still waiting or something. But for this,
Observation period.
yeah, the observation period, yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, in the observation period, I was just with the other observation period people, and I had to reflect and stuff. And it was very new. It was very confusing because I wasn't really working with anything. So it was confusing. That's all I can say about observation period. But after coming out of the observation period, my first thing, I guess I was working in UI, and that's I don't know if Palash is still around, but uh, Palash was the first person I got friendly with. He's,
Okay.
and the first town hall that I attended, Palash got scolded for 30 minutes straight because he messed up a UI very badly. He did it very, he wasn't creative enough, I think, is what the reason. I don't remember. But when I went to Palash, uh, he and everyone is around him because everyone is trying to console him that it's fine, you can work on it. And the only thing Palash was quiet for like 5 minutes straight, and then the only thing Palash said was, I wouldn't have gotten like I wouldn't get scolded for no reason, and it this was something like I could have done better, but I got lazy or something around that. So from that, the two things that I knew was one, Palash had absolute trust in Tarun and the system that was here, and
Okay.
he knew that no one is going to scrutinize you if you live up and live up to the task, or at least you try your best. You'll get your chance to explain yourself. And the other thing was he will you'll be given tasks to do, but more than being given tasks to do, you should be able to take the task and take responsibility of it yourself, right? That's the bigger thing. And Palash was taking responsibility of his task and how the outcome of it too. And uh, yeah, that was an eye opener to me, I guess. It was like taking responsibility, and also like the trust he had. It's not something that's you can't have trust in something after uh, going through something. Like you can't have trust in. Like, it was genuine trust. It's what I'm trying to say. I'm sorry, I'm stuttering so much. Yeah,
Great. So, Arbaz, my
yeah,
second point,
yeah.
if you don't mind, so can you share your LinkedIn account?
My LinkedIn account, sure.
Yeah,
Share it
if you don't
Sure.
mind.
Guys, sorry to interrupt. Uh,
yeah.
see,
Okay,
this
thank you.
session is about frameworks, right? So can we please be on the same topic, right? Like we can share this sometime else. So
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
anyone has any questions to ask regarding frameworks or something? Because if you don't, I think I have one.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyone? Okay, then I think I can go in. So Arbaz, I think like when people think of developers, right? They I think most of them only look around code or tech. But what is it
Yes.
that actually helped you look beyond it, right? Like thinking of processes, systems, frameworks, right? So what is it that actually helped you in like seeing things beyond tech and code?
um, That is a difficult answer because there's a lot of things. Uh,
Because I think it's really
uh,
important, right, for everyone that
yeah,
it's not just about code or tech. It's about
yeah,
something bigger, right?
yes. I, uh, there's multiple reasons to it, but I guess I'll start again like with the code that I got from Hariharan sir. I'm guessing all of you have met Hariharan sir, but so he said that your work as a developer only starts once your consumer has your product, because your product. eh, The reason I believe that AI does not already start coding all your products is not because AI can't code. It's because AI can't understand human needs like humans can. You make things for humans, and you should be able to not just make your thing, but you have to understand what people need. You need to also communicate why your product is useful to the people who you who the people who you're making your product for. and and to be able to do that, you need to be able to communicate with other people working on the product, and the other people working on the product won't be just your tech team, right? So those uh, those three things are the biggest reasons why as a developer you directly need to learn more than just coding. But other than that, I think just in general in life, uh, there's a saying that a good business principle is not one that helps you in business, but it helps you in general in life. So, it, like, try to learn everything, because it won't help you just in your work, but in all facets of your life. I don't know if that answers your question.
I think partially it did.
Okay.
So I mean, I have a follow up to that, right? So
Yeah.
I I think you just mentioned a few minutes back that there were lots of things that you learned in DT, but you didn't see a direct relevance of them in your work, right? But later you realized that I think these things have direct significance to my work. So how did the realization happen?
So the realization happened because uh, I did not. Uh, I had to learn a lot of different things, and one of the good things in cybersecurity is that your work. I mean, in cybersecurity, most of the people think that it's about hacking, and that is the smallest part of cybersecurity, because the people who you think are hacking are actually they're pen testers or ethical hackers. All they do is they hack the system, they write a huge 4-page report and send it to your bosses. If you are a manager in that post, your work will then become to explain to your executives that okay, this is why we need to even take in consideration this report, and you'll try to get budget from them to be able to put that things into you know into reality. So that it's like in cybersecurity, I realized that the biggest roles that you'll have is not actually hacking something or implementing something. It's actually convincing people, or you know making a point for if this thing needs say $10,000 to implement, okay, these $10,000 will be used here, and we need it for these reasons. So your work in tech is never just about tech, and I guess that realization, uh, even outside of DT, it helped me a lot. Uh, but other than that, also I was looking into a lot of business side of things, and in everywhere that I looked into, and anything I wanted to learn, I always had to ask questions. I always had to learn from more than just what I'm being taught. I had to reflect. I had to take notes. I had to understand what I'm learning beyond just the words that are coming out of the teacher's mouth. And so yeah, I think, and yeah, those I guess were the different reasons why I figured out that many of these things were more important than I realized.
I think it's about like when you started looking into higher level things, right? Like say business and like how do you sell your product, right? So I think that's when it like helped you to understand the relations. Is it something like that?
Not just that, but uh, in in progressing in anything, you need to learn beyond just the.
Okay.
Firstly, people won't just. If I don't ask any question, no one is going to tell me everything. Like if I, uh, like if you take a JavaScript uh, tutorial, you'll find the answers to that. But beyond that, if you need clarification on how to do a particular thing, you need to ask a particular question, right? And you also need sometimes, like if you're working on a task, like you might be trying to build a web page. You won't try, you won't, the biggest problems won't be that you don't know how to make that web page. The biggest problem will be that you don't know what exactly you're looking for, what exactly the user wants from that web page, right?
Correct. Mm.
Yeah, so you need to be able to ask your user the question. You need to be able to ask the people who uh who designed the web page the questions, and you need to be able to understand what they want from it. So that all that it takes dialogue, not just with the person in front of you, but it also takes dialogue within yourself, and you need to have some understanding of where they are coming from. So all that, I think, we need all-round learning for that, and that's kind of how I realized that anything you do, you need more learning than just your technical. I can code 10,000 lines in a single day type of thing. I guess. Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So as you mentioned last time, I think you mentioned this thread of Anand said twice or thrice in the same discussion. Your product work on product starts when you launch the product and when your users start working on the product. So I think that's where your holistic learning will come into picture, where you want to think beyond tech, because coding is not just writing 1,000 line of code and leaving that
Hmm.
code away, because you are
Yeah.
writing it for the user, consumers who are going to consume the code.
Yeah. Also, if I can't understand what my UI designer is trying to get from a particular design, even if I code it 100 times, I won't get the effect that he wants. Right. So I need to even understand my own team first of all before I can
Yes.
even make what my team wants me to make.
Okay. Your first thread was very interesting. I want to get back to that first thread again. You asked, you said, whenever in DT, one thing that was very important, whatever we were learning, we were implementing directly. Means
Hmm.
whatever learning that you had, you are implementing. And
Yeah.
that's where your idea, your structures, and lots of things come into picture. So I
Hmm.
just want you to get back to the same thread and explain how you are. Means I know every time whatever we are doing, we are learning and we are implementing. But sometimes when a person is new, they don't know what they are learning and how they can implement it.
Hmm.
Like you're learning a framework,
Hmm.
so definitely you will implement it. You
Yeah.
gave one example that if Tarun will say something, I'll go and implement it. But
Yeah.
we know how to implement it. You know how to implement it. But sometimes there are very small crucial threads that is required to be implemented, but those threads are not being implemented. So
Hmm.
whatever you are learning on a daily basis, it's important to implement it in small chunks. So how
Hmm.
you approach to that and how you are learning day by day and implementing it in your regular life.
I think that answer again, I'll take it back to reflection. I think a lot of the things that you learn, you'll actually be implementing it in some level, but because you don't reflect, you don't see it. Uh, Also, you just by being in DT, you will be asked to implement a lot of those things. So, like communication was, uh, I, I think Shaman would remember because when I came into DT, I still am an introvert, but I was even more of an introvert when I came to DT, and communication was one of my weakest suits. So uh, it was it's like a lot of these things which you learn, you will utilize them, and if you don't, uh, you know, even if you don't directly apply them, say you learn something today and you don't apply it today, you can uh, you can first you can think of ways to implement it, but also even if you don't, you can think of ways how it's useful to you. It will, I'd say, take a learner's mentality to it. First of all, you have to change your mindset before you can change anything else. Your mindset is probably the only thing in the whole world that you can even control. You have full control over. So just being in the mindset that this thing, how like be in the mindset that, okay, I learned this thing today. How can I implement it, or how is it useful to me? If you try looking at it that way, you'll find more, you'll find a lot of reasons that it is useful, which you did not if you looked at it in a pessimistic way.
I think,
Acquiring a yes, sure.
sorry to interrupt, just to add on to Arbaz, right? I think one of the threads that Tarun used to say, right, sometimes back was, see, learning if that's stagnant, it's of no use. But learning that can create value is something that we want, right? So I think learning and implementing creates that value, right? Sense of value.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I wanted to add.
Thank you, Shaman. As Arbaz rightly pointed out, acquiring that mindset is very important, that whatever I'm learning at some or other point, I'll definitely want to use those learning, or not use is not a correct word, but yeah, implement those learnings.
Yeah. A lot of the learnings you won't need to implement, it'll be useful to you. Yes.
Yeah. Open to anyone. You guys can ask any questions. We'll wait for 3 more questions. So not with respect to frameworks, with respect to learning, journey, any questions that is there in your mind, you guys can ask.
Can I?
Okay. Yeah, Shanskruti.
I have a very important question.
Okay.
Yeah.
First, how have you taken feedbacks?
I didn't feel what, sorry.
How do
Feedbacks.
you take feedback?
Oh, how do I take feedback? In what sense? Like, how do I take it
So,
emotionally, or how do I take it? Like,
uh,
how do I process it?
Yeah, how do you process it, and no, how to what we can say, how to approach your feedback?
I think Sanskriti wants to know how do you basically ask for a specific feedback? No?
no,
Let's
okay, relax. I'll try to, if I'm wrong, just correct me, Sanskriti. So it's like that. Suppose you did a UI mix, as you were very interested in UI, you were creating a UI. And how I remember Arbaz is all about mobile apps, because he was the only one alone. He was taking whole responsibility of mobile apps, and he was adding screens again and again. So suppose you did mobile app, and that is not that good. The UI is not good. And you got a feedback, hey Arbaz, this is very bad. What you did, no one will use it. You have to rework all again. But the intention of the person was not that ki the UI is bad. The work that you did, as you said, ki Shaksham changed whole UI. But the intention of Shaksham was not to tell you that you are bad or your UI is bad. It's like the work that you did. And when actually he did that UI again, you really liked it. And then you reflected and you get back to it. So how you approached that feedback, that's what she's asking. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that first you'll have to start with understanding that just humans, we have our moods. We, like, no one is perfect. You know, anyone can get angry. Anyone can lash out at times. And anytime anyone lashes out, it's, there can be a multitude of reasons why they lash out. And if someone is saying it, even like, if in general you get the feedback in a constructive way, I think most people will find it pretty easy to take it. But if they're not, even if they get angry at any point, you firstly, like, okay, you just have to see that, okay, fine, they're angry. That's beside the point. It's not like you have to stop caring that they're angry in a way, it can be a little difficult, but yeah, just stop caring about it. Just understand that they are human. It's fine. Other than that, then you can look, once you accept that part, I think you can just start looking at what the exact reason was that they might have got angry, or what was the actual feedback. And once, then you can just look at the feedback. If it does not make, it's not understandable, then you can go back and ask them, I'm sorry to disturb you again, but what did you actually, what was the actual requirement? If you understand, if you need some time, take your time. I think that just becomes building your own emotional intelligence. Just take your time and take time to reflect on what the feedback was. Then deconstruct your work, see where you can actually apply that feedback. Try again. But if you're unsure, just go to them, tell them that, okay, I tried to implement your feed. If you're like scared or anything, that they might again get angry. Just beforehand, go to them, tell them that I'm not sure if I got it correct, but this is what I came up with. If tell me if this is still wrong, and if it is, then I'll ask a few questions and I'll try to understand better. That will keep them in a good mood. It'll keep you in a good mood, and you'll get through it much easier.
Yeah,
Community.
thank you, Arbaaz. As
Thank
Arbaaz
you.
pointed it correctly, it's all about emotional intelligence. If you got your feedback, try to understand the reason behind it. What was the reason? If you're not able to find that reason, the correct reason, go and ask, okay, this is what I got. Am I getting it correctly or not? And this is what you wanted. So asking a question, reflecting it back, and understanding emotions of the person, understanding the situation would definitely help anyone to get the feedback and grow with the feedback, because feedback is the best way to grow constructively if you really want to grow. Okay, I will wait for two more questions.
So can I ask?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of off track. So Arvind, any two mistakes that you have done while working at DT or while joining, so that we should not do as a fresher or as intern? Like I want to know your experience, like your experience while you maybe have done mistakes you all learned. So if you can share any two mistakes that we should not do.
One comes to my mind very easily. I'll think about the other one while I talk about the first one. But first one is not when you go into something. Okay, let's say you're learning about JavaScript. Right? If you're or any whichever programming language you're working on, if you're going into that and they're teaching the basics at the moment, you might completely zone out, and that is a very normal human thing. But when you're doing that, you might miss out some finer details or something that teacher has implemented themselves, which makes, maybe good practices, maybe something, some efficient style of doing it. There can be multiple things which you'll miss out. So, like going in without having that learner mindset, when you go into any when you're going into any learning environment, go in with a complete student mindset that, okay, try to unlearn everything. And even if it's, if you're boring, if you find it boring, if you're tired, a lot of times we are tired and we just can't take in the information at the moment. So if that's the case, act like active note taking is what will help you. Just constantly just type verbatim if you want. Type whatever they want. You don't need to condense it. You don't need to process it. Just shut off your mind and keep typing. And once you get to typing something that is new to you, your brain will recognize, okay, this is actually new to me. So and it'll make you think just by just taking notes. It will put you in that learner mindset when it comes to time, when the time comes that, okay, this is new, and then you'll become more attentive to the rest of it, because you're like, okay, maybe they have something new to give me, right? Yeah. I think firstly, try to be in a learner mindset. If you can't be, just try active note taking. It will help you. Yeah. So that's one mistake. Another one, I think, not taking opportunities here. When I was here at DT, for I was here for 6 months, and for the longest time, I did all I did all my writing very well. I did everything else very well, but I hated being in the limelight. I hated being in the spotlight. So anytime, yeah, I had to volunteer to speak about anything, I'd never take it. I'd always hide away. I joined the meeting room late if they're taking volunteers or if they're asking in-person questions. Uh, I try to do anything to get out of speaking. So that don't do that. Like, try to speak voluntarily because now uh, now I was I actually reached out to Tarun right now just to thank him, and he gave me this opportunity and I jumped onto it. I'm like, okay, fine, I'm coming. I'm gonna speak. But I realized that way later now when I don't get to speak every you have I think back then at least weekly twice we had some event going on like town hall and one more meeting, Socratic dialogue, and you got to speak all the time. And I did not take it for at least the first 4 months. Now anytime like I'm looking for opportunities. Give me something, give me a reason to speak, please. Give me some human contact, So I'd say, yeah, take the opportunities to speak, take the opportunities to grow in different ways.
Thank you, Arbaaz. We'll never
Alright.
repeat this type of mistakes again. Thank you for the insight.
I'm
I
glad I
hope
can
all
help.
of us learn from the Arbaaz's mistake. So if you're not thread building, please start thread building because in whatever situation you are in, this would help you to get into that situation where you'll be capable of understanding lots of thoughts, threads, and all, even though not at that time, but later that would be possible. And second mistake is take opportunities, take initiative. Like Arbaaz said, when he got this opportunity, he was jumping. Yeah, yay, I got it. And in his internship, it might be possible that he didn't took initiative. He was not on the spotlight. But in this session, he is the spotlight.
You made me nervous suddenly, but okay.
In fact, I
Okay.
didn't got chance to ask anything.
Okay, last
So-
one question. Yeah, Arbaaz, you can go ahead.
No, I just thought Sanskriti said something.
No. At the beginning, no, I asked you for introduction. Then
Oh, yeah.
there was framework. So yeah.
Yeah, one last question. Question of the day. Who wants to ask last question? Okay, no butterflies in your stomach.
We'll ask for reflection from Arbaaz for this meeting.
Definitely he'll give. But if you have any questions, you guys can ask.
Hello,
Hello. Yeah. Yeah, Vijay.
Arbaaz, I have no questions, but you don't mind, so can you share your LinkedIn account? If you don't
Definitely
mind,
he'll
so
share.
please.
He'll share in the chat after this meeting. Any other threads that you guys want to discuss? Okay. I think no one have any question. I'll go with my question then.
Okay.
So Arbaaz, how was your experience today?
Yeah, it was very good. I mean,
I would like to ask what difference have you seen today, like back then and now?
Oh.
in DT or in myself?
Both.
Both, yes.
Both. Okay. In myself, I think I just, I wouldn't do this back then. That's the first thing I know. I would never volunteer to be a team already. But I guess I'd say that not the difference, but it just reminded me how much, every time Shavan or Shagun were asking a question, I'm like, okay, these people I know they have been here too long. These when they ask me a question, it will grill my mind to answer them. It'll be very difficult because the DT rigor is back. So I was scared to answer them, and yeah, I did not like. I have mentors who I'm very happy I could get some mentors, and I'll say to anyone if you have an opportunity to get mentors, to take it. I got one of my mentors through my uni. And it's one of the best decisions I made. But yeah, so your mentors, they'll be the first one to ask you any questions. But that is, it's a one-on-one thing. And it's on generally on topics which I've discussed for the last several weeks already. But this was, I I missed this. Yes, it like a lot of questions, and yeah, like uh, uh, dialogue, and it just builds more on what I'm learning, I guess. Yeah. A lot of active learning. So that was the difference in me, DT, and I guess all I can say is it's growing. I mean, it's also I think Vijay said he's pretty new here, and he's already asking so many questions, and that's good to see that uh, that same learner mentality and the dialogue mentality is still going on. The same questions are still going on. Just amazing. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know about the difference. Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Arbaaz. Means it was really nice that now you are telling, hey, I am active learner, but I think back then also you were active learner, only just there was a silence.
Yeah.
Because the threads that you shared today, it was really nice, good. And
Thank you.
in DT, it's good that you didn't see any change. There are still rigorous curiosity where everyone is trying to ask questions, learn from each other. Good. So what was your experience? Again, I'll get back to my question because that was lost somehow. How you felt?
How I felt.
Huh.
Very good. I guess kind of answered it with Sharon's answer, but yeah, it felt really good. It felt like, yeah, it's very exciting in a way, also nerve-wracking, but it's a great practice. And I I got relaxed throughout the whole thing, instead of you think when you're going to be speaking, you'll actually, as you keep speaking, you'll get more tensed, but it's the opposite, when you get into the practice, when you're actually speaking, it feels much better. And again, it goes back to just take the opportunity you get, take the practice you get. It'll actually get your nerves down. It'll make you more relaxed and make you more happy.
Thank you, Arbaaz, for making all of us happy. I hope everyone enjoyed this session and lots of memories got bring back. Refreshed. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining this session, and thank you, Arbaaz. It was a really great discussion, I would say, not a session where we discussed a lot, lots of insights we gathered. And thank you for telling us importance of reflection, practice, and questioning, frameworks.
And implementation.
Framework was all about it. Lateral thinking and storytelling.
Learning and implementation.
Learning and implementing.
Thread building.
Thread building. Still 2 fingers are left. Feedback. Okay. One last left.
Mistake you learn from.
Mistakes that you learn from. Practice. I already told practice. Okay. Thank you, everyone.